being Jesus is like to be nothing. It's like you're so weak that you're the strongest because you can touch everything. So that's like my dream, and the way I manifest that is in music. It's like by being weak in my real life, or being strong in my real life, or being authentic at all times, I allow it for everything that I make to resonate with somebody. And so that's kind of like my biggest dream, is to like be completely human in a divine way. Yeah. I'm Kwasi Stampley. I'm 19 years old. I was born in Milwaukee, but I've been to a bunch of different places, so everywhere is sort of home and nowhere is home at the same time. I'm a jazz guitarist by trade, I guess, or by discipline, but I'm really just a person who has an idea about what he wants to do. Yeah, it was a crazy journey. So I started in Milwaukee, I was born here, and my parents are both actors. So being actors, they're like always on the go, they're always ambitious, they're always like, what's next, what's next, what's next? And then they moved to Chicago. So they're like, yeah, so we're in Chicago now, we got a good gig. And I'm like, dope, this is really cool, Chicago's a new scene. And that was when I was like 7. So I had already moved to a different city by the time I was 7. And then after we were in Chicago for a couple of years, my dad got like a crazy show. I think it was like on Broadway or something like that. And I was just like, yo, this is really cool. We're in New York now. And so we're living in Brooklyn Heights and we're chilling in New York. And now my mind is never stable. So it's like, most people are grounded. They're like, this is where I'm from. This is who I am. But for me, I'm like, I never had that sense. I'm always like, what's next? Always what's next. 8th grade year, I went to Montreal. And then after Montreal, sophomore year, I went to China. And yeah, being in Beijing and like Xi'an and all those different cities in China, I was just like, oh my goodness. Like my mind opened up. Because these people have a whole different way of life and a whole mindset that's like restricted to them. It's humbling when you get to be amongst different people who are genuinely different. So that's when that artistic thing really opened up, because I'm going to a new world where I have nothing in common with them except for ambition and my openness. Most people who would go to China or something would be like, oh, I don't like that, or oh, that was gross, or I have an opinion about this. But I learned really early, like the way to grow is just to kill your ego at the door, like just check it. So I would go into these new countries and be like, I'm ready to learn. Like I know I have all this pride and you can hear it in everything I do, but like I'm ready to learn. So being in China did that for me. Being in Africa, it really showed me who I was, because I was like, wow, when I kill my ego, these people, they see me as their brother. Now I have that sense of home in a different country. And now that I know what home feels like in a different country, coming back to America, it was an easier transition, because now I'm not thinking literal, like most people tell you, like this is the key to success. Do this and you're a business person. I'm thinking artistically. I'm thinking, what does this person know? It's like, yeah, you don't have any money, but what do you know? You know something. I went to a country where their whole country has less money than half of my whole country. And I was like, but they know something. Like these people have knowledge. So that's kind of where my artistic lens came from. I see the value in everybody. I'm like, there's something in everybody. And because I'm so hype, it's almost like my mission just to like get that charge into someone, like an AED almost, where you're like, clear. I'm like, what do you know? And then their heart just starts pumping. They're like, I really like this. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Like, let's do it. Like, let's just try. So that's where my artistic lens came from, just from like ambition and energy. Typically for me, the value of water runs deeper than just aesthetic. Water is like, it's like the reminder that there is something greater. Because you're aware of it. You're living in a world and an ecosystem. But when you see something that hasn't been conquered, when you see something that's not tangible, yet very tangible, it just puts you back into perspective. So when we're living in this illusion of ego and like perspective and vision and perception, coming to the truth is beautiful. I can't breathe underwater. That's the truth. Now, while I'm at home, I can figure out a way to breathe underwater, to change the truth. But when I come here, I get to see the truth. So for me, water is just another way to like embody that zooming out perspective. Just like remember the bigger picture. Remember this isn't for you. I was trying to figure out the formula for diving into other cultures because I'm not the only one in my family. And I have so many friends that don't do this. And I was just so confused. I was like, why do you guys stop? Like, why do you sell yourself short every time? And I was trying to uncode it so that for literal thinkers who are like, I am this way, I'm programmed. It's like you can update their software. Be like, yo, here's what you need to do in order to open your mind because you're closed-minded. That's really what it comes down to. But it's that competitive mindset versus collaborative mindset. If you understand that there's a duality, then like you were saying, you're not always trying to win. It's like, why are you trying to win? That's a really tough question to ask. Ego death is like a spiritual, theological like term or concept. But essentially it's realizing your programming and then like wiping yourself clean. So it's not a dangerous process, but it's a harmful process to one who's in danger. Like if you're in danger, your ego, like you've been programmed to survive. But if you feel safe, I would suggest, because that's what happened to me in Canada. It was like sitting down and actually being like, why am I this way? Like whose fault is it that I'm this way? Whether good or bad. Like who programmed me to be this way? And I was like, America, my school system, my parents, my sisters, like my friends, the social media. It's like cool. And it's like really detoxing yourself from the conditioning. Like a dog, like my dog. If I go like this, she's like, oh, do this. Okay. But she really just wants to run outside and do what she wants. But she understands the relationship that I'm the one making sure that she can do that. So in the meantime, do what I say. But when you realize that there's a whole society telling you what to do, like the dog could really just say, you know what? I don't want to be a dog anymore. I want to be a wolf. I want to just eat rabbits when I want to and just leave. And that's kind of what I did. So I just sort of, and it's a concept that's in theology, and I'm trying to find, because they say it's so simple to do. Like it's easy to do that. All these people are like slaves to their ego or to conditioning. But it's hard to explain it because they say it's simple, but it's not obvious. So what you were saying is right. Like ego, it stops you from growing because we're all connected. Like we're all connected. But when your ego, it's like, no, I'm this. This is me. But it's like, no, like it's us. I think for people who are competitive and goal-orientated and achievement-based, the achievement in focusing like in yourself and the actual prize at the end of the struggle that it takes to get there is that you master your emotions, because your emotions are a reflection of your conditioning. Like my dog is conditioned to maybe be afraid and bark at anybody who walks in the house. Like there's just that conditioning, but it's an emotional response. But when you master your emotions and realize I'm in a team, I'm with people, then you can be safe. So then if you are actually safe and present in the moment, then you unlock this other part, which is allowing things to happen. Because like we can plan everything, but imagine how powerful it would be if we're doing our thing, but the universe is giving us the opportunities. People talk about like speaking it into existence, all that type of stuff. That's beautiful, like the law of attraction. But there are other forces in nature that are meant to support certain forces. So if you have a high vibration, if you're alive and you're willing to take action and do things, then it's almost like life is on your side. But if you're afraid of any new opportunity, if there's a fear of loss and attachment, then it's like life is against you. But when you realize that none of this stuff is yours, like this is a tree that was planted and then carved up, and these are metal iron molecules that were forced together, and this is a microphone, like someone made this. If this broke right now, I have no attachment to it. It's not mine, like I didn't make it. But because I'm in a space where I'm just grateful for it, I can use it to its fullest potential and then put it down and then do something else. It's like giving your all to certain areas. I think the idea behind solo is, one, mastering your emotions, but two, realizing what the truth is. Because lies are the reason why people are upset. They're mad because they're like, I was told this would happen and it didn't happen. But there is a truth. Like, there's a truth, and then there's perception of the truth. Regardless of your perception, if someone thinks money's more important, clothes are more important, music is the most important, regardless of their perception, their lens, and that's the reason why we talk to people, is perspective. There's a truth. So that's how we're all connected. There's a truth. Some people are a bit more confused than others. That's fine. Like, that's beautiful. That's art. But once you realize the truth, then you realize what's possible. So when you realize that when I realize like I'm not alone and that the world is on my side, like the world has lifted me up to achieve what it wants to be done, then it's like, what do I want to do now? And you have so much power behind that because it's like, I'm going to do this, period. Versus being like, I don't know if it's possible. I think I want to try it. And it's being told the truth versus realizing that it's true. So I think the solo part it's like phasing through the lies that your body tells you, like, oh, I'm nervous, like all of those, phasing through the emotions and really unlocking your consciousness, where you realize my body wants me to live. So that's its main objective. So if it thinks I'm gonna die, it's gonna stop anything from happening. It's like, okay, now that I know that's what my body wants, what does my mind want? My mind wants to give value to the world. I want to plant a seed. I want to plant a tree. Make sure the world keeps going. But then it's like, what does the world want? That's the solo collective part. It's like, now that we have this and this is what you're trained to think. There's a like unlocking your consciousness. Like, there's another level where what is gonna actually support all of us. So that's why I think like the idea of working on yourself is the first step. They call it enlightenment or whatever like that. That's beautiful. Some people call it solar consciousness, which is where you're just your awareness. Everything happens to you, but you simply analyze it. You don't react to it. You just analyze it as, this happened. Cool. Or, wow, this happened. Versus, oh, I didn't like that. Or, I love it. It's just like, no, this happened. That's the fact. That's the truth. My reaction to it is late, but this happened. So what's next? And then when you get past just that, then you get into, it's like you're causing things to happen while it's happening. It's like a whole flowing. So some people say go with the flow, go with all this stuff. But the only way to do that is when you've gone to that third step of realizing we're all together, but it started with me being alone.